I don't know what Coach's favorite corn song is.
Take it away, Choppy.
Do you have one? Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. Good morning, guys.
We missed you. Did you miss us?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, that's what we are.
On?
Yeah, we missed you. You give us this Friday entertainment gold. Did you enjoy the bye week? You enjoy your time away?
Oh, there you are. Yeah, the volume wasn't correct. I have to turn this up on my phone. Yeah, hey, well, definitely missed you. You know that goes without being said.
I know. I shouldn't even have asked.
It's been a long 2 weeks.
It has. Yeah. Did you do anything fun or enjoyable to get away?
Yeah, I mean, it was enjoyable. Did not get away. Just took in the homecoming festivities with my daughters over there at Prestonwood Christian Academy. So that was fun.
You have any type of World Series baseball fever with the Rangers starting this weekend?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the buzz of the city it's been fun. I know the players are all really into it. So I mean, it's going to be obviously an exciting series. I mean, just that whole stretch here, Game 5, 6, and 7. I mean, what a great lead up into the World Series.
What is your, like, if you're not watching football, like if you're just in your downtime, what is your number 2 sport to consume?
Oh, I get into to be honest, you get into the championship series, whether it's, you're always watching the World Series, but the hockey finals and the NBA finals in May. So, a lot of it, obviously March Madness is always a fun time of year, but your life as a football coach is, it's really in season and off season. So in season, you don't really have much time, outside of work and family. But so, just take in the spring sports.
What's the number one non-sports thing that is on your television?
Oh, just whatever the kids want to watch. Yeah, I'm.
You don't have a show? You don't have something DVR, Netflix? Not
right now. No, not right now. Okay. Yeah. So I just get in line when I get home. I'm pretty easy.
So Coach, given the amount of time, you mentioned that you've had to reflect on things during the bye that you wouldn't normally get during a game week. Was there something that you felt like you were able to learn about your team, whether good or bad, that like, okay, I hadn't really considered this before because I hadn't been given the time to devote to a larger scale takeaway? Was there something you came away from during the bye and said, oh, this is interesting, we need to focus on this?
The big thing with bye weeks, my experience, and it was no different this past week, it's not as much as not being, aware or on top of the pros and cons. It's really having the time to apply it to the next game plan over the next 6 weeks of your season. So I think that's so important, and that's really a big part of why I've always broken down the season into into quarters, or just where our schedule lays up, just because we have that Thursday stretch there in November. But we're breaking it up into trimesters, and so everybody in this game, you have a menu of scheme, and you try to match it up where you think your team's at. So it's more how you apply the statistics, the pros and cons, or the tendencies of players, and there's always projection going on. So that's why, as I look at this second semester or trimester of the season, we have 4 out of 6 games at home. So just from like the offensive perspective, just how you want to play these games. Ideally, health is probably at the forefront of all those decisions, as we know. But it's really having time to take the information that you have weekly, but just taking a deeper dive on how it applies to the schemes and concepts, the training, and things you really need to emphasize. So that's really always been my approach.
Yeah, and you've talked this week, I know, about self-scouting and how important that is. So how much when you start that process and you start looking to apply that during the bye, what does that begin with for you? Does that just go, hey, let me go put on the tape of game 1 and we're just going to go all the way through? Or does it apply to a certain concept like, hey, I really want to dive into this thing that's I've been itching to get to?
Well, there's numerous things. I mean, there's things that come out of the across the hall activity that we have here. We're the offensive, defensive coaches share things on the players' tendencies and in the concepts and situational tendencies. So there's multiple thoughts that you go through. Like, for example, last night, Brian Schottenheimer sitting in his office, going through certain formations and plays and concepts that, we got to make sure we protect, moving forward. So how do you project that over the next 6 weeks? So you're always forecasting from a coach's perspective what's next. And and then the nice thing with our new analytics department and just having them integrated into the coaching staff, just taking a deeper dive with them, like John Park and I spent time on a bye week, just taking a deeper dive into the football team and more confirmation. But once again, how do you apply it? I know I've said applied like 20 times already, but it's because it's just like anything. You only have so much time in opportunity in your training. You can't do everything on Sunday. So it's how do you chart it out?
Mike McCarthy here on the Fan. Coach, you've been very straightforward, and I've agreed with it. Hey, we're going to rely on this defense. That's the strength of the team. And then we're going to take care of the football, running game, all the things that go along with it. My question to you is, do you still feel like you have the defense and the running game for your formula? Hasn't felt like y'all been running the ball the way you've wanted lately. The defense after Diggs, I think could be argued, it fell off from maybe elite to very good or good. Do you still feel like you have the defensive and run game formula to play how you want?
Well, really, I'll be honest with you, you could really take the last two answers I gave you and apply it. Here is, apply is a big word today.
Apply.
Apply.
Take a shot for every time.
Yeah, to get me out of everything today. But, I think clearly, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. So you come out of training camp, you know that, more games are lost in September than won. So, complementary football. How do you build that foundation? And in the way we played, illustrates that. And then you have statistics that come out of it. And then our statistical, breakdown with, particularly when you have 3 blowout games and you spend as much time in a 4-minute offense mode as we are. So your numbers are screwed, or tilted one way. And so you have to look at all those things, but you have to grow your football team. So, so the offense has to do more, as far as what we're trying to do approach-wise. And that, to me, is really why you break these seasons down, because you have to grow. I'm not making excuses. It's just the way this league is set up. I mean, you don't have the time in training camp and the opportunity to probably get as much as you would like oiled up. And, and it's a young man's league now. These players are so much younger than they were 15, 20 years ago. So, so you get through that first trimester, you play it a certain way, and obviously, once again, the X factors in all these things is health of your roster, and then now you have a chance to reboot, and we need to grow as an offense, and then we got to continue to be better on how people are attacking us on defense, and and we're very, very young on special teams too. So I mean, that's probably the one area that John Fossil does a tremendous job. We've had a lot of moving parts there, and so it's continuing to grow. And so I mean, it's not like we're going out every Sunday and saying, okay, hey, defense, win the game. I mean, I've always looked at defense as being the thermostat of your football team, because they keep every game winnable, and then in the offense go win the game. So and special teams contribute and win the field position battle. So I think obviously we're 4-2. It's a good solid record. It's a good start, but we need to improve moving forward, especially with these opportunities, playing 4 out of 6 at home.
Mike McCarthy joined us here at 105 through the Fan. I know you talked about it. You said it was kind of a messy game, so it's not about the actual play before the half. But what is the conversation with a player when an in-game decision could be seen as like a slight to them or a lack of confidence in their decision making or their ability? Like, what's the conversation that you have to have with players and stuff when something like that happens?
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, in reference even just to the Charger game, that's really an external opinion and thought process. Mm-hmm. I mean, Dak understood it. I mean, we briefly talked about it after the game. So, you got to remember, there's communication that's going on through that whole process. I got the game management coaches in my ear. I'm able to talk to him. So, that we took you got 2 options there, and the head coach decided to take the conservative one, and we won by 3 points. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's about winning, and that's So no, there wasn't a big conversation, and there was no truth to others' opinions on why we why we did what we did at the end of the half.
We're going to try to apply this audio clip we found from 2016 of you being asked about the trade deadline back in Green Bay and see if it still applies today.
What's the trade deadline like around here? Is it a lot of conversation or just standard?
Is that what you guys? I thought it was next week. No? That's what it's like.
Is it really like that, Coach? Like, yeah, it is still here with everything else you have to focus on?
Well, no, that was more of a philosophical approach in Green Bay, and after 10 years of answering that question, that I'd be honest with you, that was pretty much reality of how it was at the trade deadline. But it's definitely different here in Dallas. There's a lot more conversation about veteran free agency here. It's just more. It's a philosophical approach, and veteran free agency wasn't a priority in Green Bay.
Do you like? I mean, I would think that you would like being more involved in those conversations. Would that be accurate?
Well, it's not it's not the involvement. I mean, that's the. I think it's the norm. I mean, in every leadership structure, Jerry, Steven, and Will and I mean, there's always conversations, and I have a process of stopping in Will's office every day and communicating with him and Steven and Jerry, and so so you're definitely in the conversation, but it's just like anything in this business. I mean, it comes down to transactions.
Jerry mentioned back in August when the Trey Lance deal was made that because he knew you were involved in the evaluation of Trey Lance, he knew your feelings on the play, and that's why he felt comfortable just, hey, I can make this call right now, and then we can move on from there. Would you expect a similar type of process if a deadline deal were made this year? Like, do you guys have specific conversations about different people throughout the year so that, Jerry, Steven, whoever feel like, hey, I've got this information already from Mike about how he feels like this so we can streamline any discussions?
Oh, no, absolutely. And that's really the norm. The exception is, something that happens last minute. And as we all know, last minute things, carry higher risk. So, yeah, I mean, it's, in my experience in the NFL, there's a tremendous amount of conversation, anticipation, and that goes into all these decisions. So it's not something that pops up at noon. You have to make the decision by 3:00 has been my experience.
Mike McCarthy, brought to you by Black Rifle Coffee every single Friday at this time with Sean, RJ, and Bobby. So your play call sheet went viral. When did you become aware of it? Were you aware of it? And is there any big secrets that were let out on national TV?
No, not really. That's the language. I mean, I think, two things. The irony of it is I always speak to my parents before the game, and, and my mother was pretty adamant about, I need to cover up my mouth. And she said that she was at church, at church that day, and five different people commented on Mike's not covering up his mouth when he's calling plays. So I kind of blame this on her a little bit, so I was trying to be really conscientious of keeping my call sheet up over my mouth, and then now I got an issue with my font being too big because I'm, my eyes aren't as good as they were, 15, 20 years ago. So I really don't know what the hell to do about it.
Coach, I don't know how much you paid attention to the Michigan sign stealing scandal and everything, but and I know you guys have the ability to communicate through a headset, which college should probably do anyway, but how much do you worry about other teams stealing your info? And if somebody did, how big of a deal is that? Deion Sanders says you still got to stop it. It's not that big of a deal, but where do you stand on that?
Well, I'm laughing as I'm looking out the window at our practice facility. We're surrounded by corporate buildings where we practice. So, I think it is definitely different in today's game. But I agree with Deion on that. It's football. I mean, it's part of the game. It's been around forever. I think the league is, just being in the league, watching the communication. I was in the league when the headset came in for the quarterback communication back in, I think it was 94. And then obviously the defensive communication, much later. So, and I think those are all, good, fair, adjustments that the league's made. But yeah, it's, then you counter that with no huddles and things like that, and bat on the communication clock because, it goes off at 15 seconds. So, I mean, to me, it's all part of the gamesmanship of our league, and communication, as you know, is important. So, but Yeah, I agree. I think we're, I didn't see Dion's comments on it, but I agree with that. I think it's just part of the game.
Coach, it's good to have you back. Got you for the final 2 trimesters, as you would say. Good luck on Sunday, and let's talk about a win next week. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's great to hear your voices.
Mike
Take care.
McCarthy, brought to you by Black Rifle Coffee, the official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys.